Free agency frenzy is about wrapped up now, and let me tell you, it's been quite not so exciting, actually. I think the draft coming up is going to be way more exciting and a lot more impactful. Nonetheless, I'm making this video to let you guys know how free agency has impacted fantasy football, so we'll be focusing on the fantasy aspect. What's going on, Couch fam? My name is Hussein the Brain, and you're watching The Couch. If you're new to this channel and you love fantasy football, I highly recommend you subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss future videos. Keep in mind, at the time I'm recording this video, guys like Fournette, T.Y. Hilton, Shammy Watkins, A.B., Connor, James White, offensive tackle Mitchell Schwartz have not signed yet. There's also other players like Jadeveon Clowney. Probably not too much impact when it comes to fantasy. But just keep in mind, when some of these guys sign, it will mean something. Like the running backs I named, like Connor and Fournette, definitely we can see some kind of committee, and it could definitely take a crap on that workhorse running back that you might want in fantasy. I think the NFL draft, though, coming up is going to be much more impactful. Lots of good players, lots of good quarterbacks, wide receivers. It's just going to be so stacked. But let's focus here. I'm going to go by all the impactful signings, tell you how it affects the teams. Let's start it off. AFC East, Buffalo Bills. They signed Emmanuel Sanders to a one-year deal, and this actually has a huge impact on fantasy. Cole Beasley, as you guys know, one of my favorite players last year in fantasy, and I was planning on drafting him this year. With the departure of John Brown, this is a no-brainer. With Josh Allen being an elite quarterback, this would be a no-brainer. But King Cole Beasley takes a slight hit. This also negatively affects Gabriel Davis, and it just sucks for those of us looking to snag Cole Beasley in like round 10 or something in redraft leagues. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. Emmanuel Sanders, he's not elite or anything like that, but he's just good enough to earn a lot of snaps, to run a lot of routes, and steal some targets away when Josh Allen decides not to throw to Stephon Diggs, his number one guy there in Buffalo. But that's really about it for the Bills. Nothing much has changed. Looking to see if they draft a running back. Moving on to the Miami Dolphins, they signed Malcolm Brown to a really cheap one-year deal. I think he's going to slide right into that RB3 role. Don't see much of a threat if you're pulling for a guy like Myles Gaskin or something. Still, they might go and draft a running back. This doesn't communicate to me that much that they love Gaskin and Salvin Ahmed, for example, but it could be good. Maybe they'll go like, look, we have 3 running backs here. We have Malcolm Brown in case one of these top 2 running backs we got get hurt. And maybe you're good with a guy like Myles Gaskin. I thought he was a pretty good player, and I'm surprised with all the rumors I'm hearing that they're looking for a running back. I don't think they are. Maybe I'm wrong. Also, big signing, Will Fuller, speedy wide receiver, one-year deal. Now, he's getting $10.625 million fully guaranteed, another $3 million in incentives. That's a real deal. A lot of, like, everything's a one-year deal out here. So he's going to really help out. I think that Devontae Parker needed a running mate. So now you got Devontae Parker, Will Fuller. I'm not going to say either one is really the wide receiver one. I think it's a situation where they're both wide receiver ones. One's a speedy guy and one's a guy who can kind of do it all. And then you got Mike Gesicki. This team's really looking up. For me, personally, it's going to really help me. I got Tua really late in a Superflex Dynasty League, and that draft it looked really good. It's not, you guys said it too. Like, you guys are like, wow, you did pretty good. My team ended up being pretty bad. So I'm hoping that a guy like Will Fuller will help out Tua. Tua's only really played half a year, so let's see if he can take a step forward. Will Fuller, just don't miss him on the deep balls, and I think it'll really help out Tua. They also signed Jacoby Brissett. I think this is a clear indication that Tua's going to be the guy. They're going to give him a confident boost by saying, hey, you're our starter. Publicly announce that, hey, Tua is our starter. Jacoby is a good backup. He is our backup, though. And I think that's pretty clear. Malcolm Brown, backup. Jacoby Brissett, backup. Will Fuller, boom, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 on that team. Team that made the most moves like none other, really, and I got to give it to Bill Belichick here, is the Patriots. They went from having the worst receiving core last year to now maybe a really good one that will probably fit Cam Newton and what they want to do. They can run these exotic packages and call a lot of trick plays and really keep the defense on their heels, not knowing what direction to go, where to look for the ball, what plays to call. They're gonna really be guessing a lot. Last year, the Patriots did that, but they were just so one-dimensional and crappy, for lack of a better word, because it just wasn't working out. Not a good O-line last year, no good receivers. Cam, I think people are saying he played much worse than he actually did, but he played mediocre at best. He wasn't very good. This should help a lot. They signed 2 wide receivers, Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne. Now, I like both of them, because one thing I think people might be overlooking is the youth there. Like, Aguilar's not like super young or anything, but when it comes to a wide receiver, you do want to keep youth in mind. A lot of fantasy owners flocked when Andre Johnson went to play with Andrew Luck on the Colts, right? And that didn't work out. Andre Johnson, he's borderline Hall of Fame. Like, that's how good he is. I mean, he's definitely a really good player. The Houston Texans legend, Andre Johnson. He sucked on the Colts, okay? It's all age. If he went on the Colts when he was 4 years younger with Andrew Luck, watch out. We're looking at 1,300, 1,400 yards and a ton of touchdowns. Luck loves to throw touchdowns. Anyway, they signed Kendrick Bourne, 3-year deal. They signed Nelson Aguilar, 2-year deal. And this is the talk of the town right here, is these 2 tight ends he signed. Hunter Henry, 3-year deal, $37.5 million, $25 mil, fully guaranteed. Jonnu Smith, one of my favorite tight ends, 4-year deal, $50 million with $31.25 fully guaranteed. And this is going to be amazing right here. I don't know if I'm going to draft these guys. I don't know how good they're going to be, but I'm trying to temper expectations, but I'm very excited. I'm not even going to say this is a downgrade for these tight ends because of how good this offense might work. You got Hunter Henry, who's a good tight end, can line up in the slot, can line up in line. And then you got Jonnu Smith, who's a special weapon, total X factor. He's going to be in those crazy formations, lined up in the backfield, lined up as a fullback, running back, motioned out, calling weird plays like that. Very athletic. Him and Cam running some kind of option in the backfield is just very exciting. And keep in mind, guys, when we're talking about fantasy, you want players on good offenses. It always ends up working out somehow. I draft a player at a good spot. He stays healthy. He's involved in the offense. The offense is good. It's going to be good. You draft a player on the New York Jets. It's not going to work out. It's going to be exciting football. Also, the offense should be much better. We should see a lot more passing touchdowns than last year. Although, probably not too many, but I think we'll see a lot more from last year. Also, Patriots O-line does get a big boost, and their defense gets a huge boost. I'm pretty confident I'm going to rank the Patriots D in the top 5. They always got good corners, always got good pass coverage, but now they're signing more players and they're getting a ton of players back, including, I think, one of the most important pieces, Dante Hightower. Not only is he a pretty good linebacker, he's also kind of the brains of the defense. He's been there so long, and he's such a smart player, good football IQ, but because he's been there so long, he knows what to do. He knows what he's supposed to do, and he keeps that defense in check and is a good leader on the defense. So the brain of the defense is back. The on-field coach for that defense is back. That's a big deal. I think I can get the Patriots D at a discount this year because of how disappointed they were last year. Recency bias. New York Jets. Wow, what a mess here. You know, they couldn't get Trevor Lawrence, so I have no idea what they're going to do. They get Keelan Cole. He's an okay wide receiver. And then get Corey Davis, who had a breakout year last year, looked really good. A lot of games for the tight ends. Now he earned himself a 3-year, $37.5 million contract, which is, I'd say, pretty good a payday for him. Not too much, though. They didn't have to spend too much on him. So I think it was a good compromise between the two parties, but nonetheless, I just have a feeling that Corey Davis is not going to be that good. He played great 1 year, got himself a contract. Now he's going to the Jets. Lots of question marks there. Only positive, really, I have to say about this is that Adam Gase is fired. So that's a big positive for Corey Davis fans out there. And then they signed Tyler Kroft, tight end. Blah, blah, blah. Moving on to the Bengals, they get right tackle Riley Reef. He's a good offensive lineman. So it does help the O-line of the Bengals significantly. So right now, I'm not going to say the Bengals O-line is good. They probably need to draft 1 or 2 linemen in the draft. And after that, they might be good. But right now, it was so terrible, their O-line. I'd say significantly improved. Still probably bad. Definitely draft an O-lineman in the draft. I don't see what else they would do. Keep Joe Burrow alive. Shame on you guys. Don't get that man hurt. Again, the Browns. Oh boy, I like what they're doing. This defense, I was very excited about them last year. It's full of young players, full of talent. They need to play smarter though, and the pass coverage needs to be better. So boom, look at this. They signed 2 Rams defensive backs. Cornerback Troy Hill, he's very good. They get him at, I'd say that's a good price. Right, 4-year, $24 million. Doesn't seem like a bad price. And then they get safety John Johnson from the same team. 3-year, $33.7 million deal. $24 million guaranteed. So their defense is looking great. They have Myles Garrett. That's one of the main reasons, not gonna lie, why I like their defense so much. Young, great pass rusher. Still probably hasn't reached his potential. So maybe he takes even a step further this year. They also signed linebacker Anthony Walker, who's one of those guys who's really smart on defense and should help them overall, give them a presence. This is going to really boost their defense. Not only do you want this defense in Dynasty, but I would definitely get them in redraft if they fall. You know, I never reach for a defense ever. So Browns defense does get a boost. Steelers, no, I don't like. I mean, what are you gonna do though? They didn't really have a choice, but they lose center Marquise Pouncey. They lose their offensive tackle Villanueva. That's not good. They signed Juju Smith-Schuster. Now they got him at a discount. I'm not a Juju fan, but they did get him at a discount, which is pretty good. He took like $1 million or $2 million pay cut to join the Steelers again. Whatever. So pretty much same team in a way. Their defense does lose some pieces, but they should be able to make that up. I'm not going to say their defense takes a downgrade. So defense stays the same, and O-line definitely takes a downgrade. And I think they need a running back. The Ravens are talking to Sammy Watkins, although they lost a couple of players on defense. Good players. Nothing more than what they always do. No more turnover than any other year. I think they'll be fine. They'll always be fine. But oh boy, do they really need to get another receiver for Lamar Jackson. And that could really help out the offense. Just the threat of having an athletic wide receiver that can make plays is going to be a big deal when you're trying to defending Lamar Jackson. The Ravens is already hard as it is. The Texans, this franchise is just mind-boggling. I don't know what the hell is going on anymore. I really don't know. They signed 2 quarterbacks, Ryan Finley and Tyrod Taylor. Nice insurance. Their backups, you know, if you combined both of them, you'd get a really good backup, maybe. I don't know, something like that. Same thing with running backs. If you combine Mark Ingram and David Johnson, maybe you'll get a really good running back there too. Also, yeah, you got to also combine Philip Lindsay too. Combine the pass catching and use the old athleticism of David Johnson, the youth and hunger of Philip Lindsay, and the veteran presence of, I don't know, marking, whatever. The way they've attacked this is all quantity, no quality. And the elephant in the room is Deshaun Watson. Right now, he has 12 accusers. So the situation is very explosive, and we're just going to have to wait and see what's going to happen. The allegations are just so profound right now. All this is coming at once. So we'll just wait and see how this unfolds. I wouldn't be surprised with any type of outcome. We've seen a lot of crazy things. I wouldn't be surprised if Deshaun Watson gets traded. I mean, I just said they just got Ryan Finley and Tyrod Taylor a few days ago. Like, so much can happen. We'll just have to wait and see. They also signed like 10 other players for 1 year, $3 million. I'm not going to go through them all. As of right now, the Texans are the worst team, or definitely at least bottom 3. The Colts, they lose T.Y. Hilton. They get Carson Wentz via trade. I thought this was the perfect trade for the Colts. They needed a quarterback, so desperate to get one, and they get Carson Wentz and don't have to overpay for him. You know, just like a stock, just like fantasy, right? Carson Wentz stock was so low, and they were able to snag what could be an elite quarterback, or at least a good quarterback. Maybe he fell off like Trent Richardson. That's another move the Colts made. They traded a first round pick, something like that, for Trent Richardson, running back from the Browns a while ago, and that didn't pan out at all. Maybe Carson Wentz ends up like him, but I don't think so. I think with an O-line as good as the Colts, I think Carson Wentz, he just needs to get his groove back. He needs to get some confidence, make some throws with the clean pocket, and see what can happen. Wishing the best for Prince Henry. Marlon Mack, he signed a 1 year, $2 million deal. I don't like this because I'm a huge Jonathan Taylor fan. I don't have Jonathan Taylor, I don't think, in any dynasty league, so that's good for me, but I was just sad for, I just want to see Jonathan Taylor get, close to 1,500 rush yards and just absolutely dominate, but I don't think it's going to happen anymore, unfortunately. Mack is not going to be a starter or anything like that, but just having him and Hines, two capable backs, on the same team as Jonathan Taylor, we've seen running back by committee before there. It just doesn't give me as much confidence in Jonathan Taylor as I'd want. But hey, it's time to grow up. They probably would have drafted a running back anyways if it was maybe late in the draft or something. The Jaguars, I'm fairly certain they're going to draft Trevor Lawrence. What are we? Are we at 99%, boys? What are we at? 99.5%, something like that they're going to draft T-Law. We'll just have to wait and see. Sign Carlos Hyde. I think Carlos Hyde will be an RB2 there. I think James Robinson's far more talented, so not a huge red flag or downgrade for James Robinson truthers, but just Carlos Hyde. I don't think it's going to be a committee, but he will get some work in, and I think he'll be an RB2. Marvin Jones, this was a good signing since it's a short-term deal. They needed somebody there, and I think he can get the job done. Something that's like a sure thing. Marvin Jones is not great, but it's good that they're thinking ahead and getting someone for Trevor Lawrence. At least that's what I think. And Cam Robinson got the franchise tag. So their O-line, because of that, it gets a small boost. They've been stacking up on defense a little bit. Defense also gets a small boost, but I don't know if you're really trying to get the Jags, D, unless you're in Dynasty. Titans, big deal here. Jonnu Smith, gone. Corey Davis, gone. Adam Humphries, who didn't really do anything, is also gone. So the starting tight end as of right now is Anthony Firkser, who really messed up some of my lineups last year because I was a Jonnu Smith truther. So Firkser is still there, agreed to a 1-year deal, and tight end Jeff Swain is there, 1-year deal as well. So I'm pretty sure, like Anthony Firkser, you could probably draft him in deeper leagues. I think that's a good, like, who else are they going to throw to there? And probably draft a wide receiver. They lost a lot. Like, it's so many targets they lost. It's got to go somewhere. I mean, Firkser was already doing really good last year with Jonnu Smith, so I'm sure he'll do even better this year. We're looking at the Chiefs, and at first, people were saying they had no O-line, but now they have an excess of offensive guards. So they get Kyle Long, Joe Thuney, who's really good, and we got to see what's up with Lauren DuVernay Tardif. So he's a doctor and opted out last year. We'll see if he comes back with the team or if he retires. I think that's really the only two options we're looking at there. So they got about 3 guards. Maybe one of them moves to center. I don't know. They're going to need offensive tackle. They lost both their tackles. We'll see what happens. I just have so much faith in this franchise. They're smart. They'll figure it out. They'll probably draft a tackle. They'll probably draft a wide receiver. I think they're going to be okay. Still, O-line does take a small downgrade. Now, we're going on to probably the biggest mess, and I love to hate this team. It's the truth. Like, it's just such a disaster with John Gruden and Mayock, and remember they had Antonio Brown. What is going on here? Anyway, they signed Kenyon Drake. This is so bad for Josh Jacobs. I'm thinking that maybe, just maybe, people are so disappointed in this, I can get Josh Jacobs late. I see Josh Jacobs as overall a fairly durable running back, while I see Kenyon Drake as a fairly injury-prone running back. He's had a long history of injuries, and so if Drake were to go down, I do like Josh Jacobs, but still, their O-line is taking a huge downgrade, so I really don't like it too much. I just don't know if I'm going to get Josh Jacobs at the ADP I want, and the ADP I want is very low. Like, I don't know, I can't really think right now, but maybe like round 7 at the earliest in a 12-team redraft, something like that. It's still, I don't know, that's still I don't want I don't want to do it in round 7 even. So Kenyon Drake can catch too. He's versatile. And now on top of that, they're communicating this to me again. Same message. They signed Theo Riddick to a 1-year deal. Now I guess is this like minimum? Yeah, it looks like the absolute minimum. 1 year, $1.175 million deal. So anyway, when they signed him last year, they didn't use him or anything, but it communicated to me that maybe they're lying. Maybe Josh Jacobs isn't actually going to be catching passes and an every down back. And he wasn't. We saw a lot of Booker. We saw a lot of, God, I don't remember his name right now. Jalen Richard. We saw a lot. And it just doesn't give me any confidence in Josh Jacobs. Probably going to have to avoid him, especially if I have some Raider fans in my league that are willing to draft this guy. Now, if I get Josh Jacobs in round 10 or something, I'll go for it because Drake might get hurt. They also signed John Brown. It's whatever. Like, they needed a wide. They lost Aguilar. They have no wide receivers. O-line takes a significant downgrade. Defense gets a boost, but if you're picking the Raiders D, then you may want to retire playing fantasy football. They suck. Broncos, nothing's really changed there. Their defense does get a boost. Now, I liked what I saw out their defense last year as far as potential. I like that they played pretty hard and pretty smart and that they were trying. I don't know towards the end of the year if that really, if they kept that up, but I have hope for their defense, which isn't like a stars-filled defense. It's not like, oh my God, it's not like the Chargers D where you're like on paper, this is an all-star defense, right? It's really not, but they do have, I mean, they have a few all-stars out there, a few players that can make the Pro Bowl for sure. But overall, as a defense, I think they're good, and I think they'll play much better, especially if Von Miller comes back. So it could be a sneaky defense, might rank them like number 11, number 12, maybe even number 10, something like that, which is kind of cool if you draft them in the very last round in your league. Moving on to the Chargers, Hunter Henry's gone, so they replace him with Jared Cook. I think Jared Cook will be good for this team in real life, but in terms of fantasy, Justin Herbert spreads the ball too much for me to trust. So again, Jared Cook, not the best tight end, but I think he's good enough in real life. Good signing, 1 year, $6 million. They needed some weapons. They needed a tight end. So that's cool for them. It's cool for Herbert. That's who it really helps out. Justin Herbert. Also, look at this center. Corey Linsley, the best offensive lineman in the free agency frenzies. 5 years, $62 million. Boom. That's going to help out the run game. It's going to help out Justin Herbert. Should help out the offense. Of course, with that move, their O-line gets a boost. Next division. Cowboys. They didn't do much, but they signed Dak, who deserves a fat contract, and the man got paid. 4 year, $160 million contract. Oh, boy. $126 million guaranteed. And, it could be worth up to $164 million. So it's a huge contract. Now, this is what I'm guessing is going to happen in fantasy leagues, dynasty or redraft. I think some leagues will draft Dak where he's supposed to go, like kind of early. He's still elite. That's how I think of him. Some leagues, you're going to find that he goes much later. People are going to be more wary. Hey, is he going to be able to run? Blah, blah, blah. I just remember this man. So in 2019, he played very well. In real life, he was very inconsistent. A lot of third quarter and fourth quarter comebacks. That's where he got all those fantasy points and stats. But last year, those first 5 games, this dude was the best quarterback. This offense was on fire. They were putting up yards, making drives. This dude was a playmaker, and it was from quarter 1 to quarter 4. He played every second, every minute. It was must-see football. And what I really like, he's not super fast, super athletic. Like, I'm not trying to take away from Dak's athleticism. He is pretty athletic, but what really makes his rushing so good is that when he does take off, no one's looking because his arm is such a weapon. Defenses respect his passing so much that they're looking for the pass, and now he has 15, 20, 25 yards of running room, easy 10-yard run play, easy rushing touchdown. And that really helps out in fantasy when he goes and takes off and gets you a ton of yards rushing on the ground and is untouched. So yeah, his injury was a fluke. It wasn't from him running or anything like that. It was just a crazy fluke injury where one of his guys fell on his foot. It was bad. But anyway, moving on. That's really it with the Cowboys. They did lose some players on defense, which they're kind of shedding and trying to change the culture there. It doesn't matter. None of us are drafting the Cowboys defense anyway. Giants making a lot of moves. They get Devontae Booker. Doesn't really mean anything. I mean, he's a good backup. He's fast. He played very well for the Raiders. He's fast, can catch the ball. I think he's fitting in his role. I don't think he was meant to be that role, but you got to get in where you fit in, right? It's better than not having a job in the NFL at all. You're a specialist. More of a third down back, change of pace back, and really good at it. That's going to get you some money. 2 year, $6 million deal. Also, the big signing we were waiting for, Kenny Golladay, 4 year deal, $72 million, $40 million guaranteed. Did they overpay him? Yes. But how desperate were the Giants to get a true wide receiver 1? Extremely desperate. Evan Ingram can't really catch the ball. He's so inconsistent. Butterfingers. Sterling Shepard, pretty good wide receiver, but he should be more of like the third option or second option, not the first option, right? Kenny Golladay sliding in that number 1 role. If he pans out, he's going to really help Daniel Jones. And if this all pans out, could really help Saquon Barkley too. Could even help out a guy like Sterling Shepard, who probably won't get a ton of stats, but facing single coverage, being defended by the third worst cornerback or something on the opposing team. Something like that could help him a lot. John Ross, that's a Flyer signing. They got him 1 year, $2.5 million. And Kyle Rudolph, I don't know why they did that. Whatever. Well, Evan Ingram does suck, so yeah. I guess it does. I guess it kind of makes sense. Here we go with Washington. I love that they got Ryan Fitzpatrick. We can actually see a good quarterback on this team now that Haskins is gone. It's not the quarterback you thought, right? It's not the guy they drafted in round 1 or the guy they're paying a ton of money for. It's Ryan Fitzpatrick versus Tyler Heineke. And both look pretty good. We'll see which one wins the starting job. I'd say right now, Fitzpatrick has the lead, I think. They also signed Curtis Samuel, another great signing, 3-year, $34.5 million. Terry McLaurin really needed a running mate, and so they got it with Curtis Samuel right there. Not to mention a really good tight end, Logan Thomas. So now there's some weapons arising there, and they got some really good pass-catching backs as well. And their defense is excellent, and now they're adding to their defense, which they really needed. The secondary. So they're getting cornerback WJ3, William Jackson III. Now, he didn't play too well for the Bengals, but he was good his rookie year. But it is the Bengals. You figure he'd be more motivated to play on a better team. We'll see if this franchise can turn it around. They paid him quite a bit, and if I had to say, will he be good? I'd say yes, he will be good. He's getting paid a good amount, so you better be good. I don't really care. Who cares? I'm not a Washington fan either. I just want my fantasy team to win. Eagles did nothing. They're the exact same, except for Wentz. On NFC North, the Bears got rid of Trubisky. Trubisky went to Buffalo to back up Josh Allen. They get Andy Dalton to a 1-year, $10 million contract, and then go, psst, hey, if you come here, you'll start for us. And then Andy Dalton fell for that. And now he went to Chicago. And Chicago Bears fans are not happy with this at all. None of them are. Except that one guy who keeps messaging me on Instagram. Dude, shut up. They also franchise tag Allen Robinson. Get this man a real quarterback. But Dalton, I believe, is the best quarterback Allen Robinson's ever played with. And their best signing, they signed a kicker. They finally found one. They found a real one. Cairo Santos, 3-year, $9 million, max value of $11 million. He was very good. Wouldn't mind drafting him in fantasy. But with my very last pick, though, I think there's better kickers out there. Nothing against him, as a player. It's just that he is on the Bears, and I might want a kicker on another team. Moving on to the Lions, I think they made a great move. They're going full rebuild mode. They got a ton of picks. They're not letting Matthew Stafford rot there. But they lost quite a few players. They lost Matthew Stafford, Kenny Golladay, Marvin Jones. That's not good. Now they got Jared Goff. So I think this whole team is a mess. We might be able to get Swift late in the draft. Maybe. There's still a lot of Swift truthers. When you have a young running back like Swift, a lot of fantasy owners still have a lot of hype behind that guy. So I don't know if we'll get him at good ADP. Also, they signed running back Jamal Williams, who will probably be the number 2 running back there. He gets a 2-year deal worth $7.5 million. They signed Brashard Perryman. And Terrell Williams, who I think is going to be the number 1 wide receiver. He's got a 1-year deal as well. Now, the Packers let Corey Linsley go. You're getting rid of your center, Corey Linsley, and you sign Aaron Jones. 4-year deal, $48 million. I don't know. It's just, that's the thing, is that I don't hate, I can't isolate one thing and be like, I hate the Packers for this. It's everything they did. It's drafting a quarterback early, then drafting a running back, and then re-signing Aaron Jones and letting Linsley go. And then, how does your quarterback feel about this? The guy won you guys a Super Bowl. Hall of Fame quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. How does he feel? Get that man another weapon. Like Devontae Adams. At least he's got the best wide receiver in the league. That's cool. But get him something else. Get him some in the draft. I'm sure they'll know what they're doing on draft day. Moving on to the Vikings. They get a good defensive piece. Defensive tackle, Dalvin Tomlinson. They also get Patrick Peterson. So I could say their defense stays about the same or gets a little bit bad. No. Good luck, Vikings. They got Justin Jefferson, which is really cool. He's amazing. Panthers lost Curtis Samuel, but they do get David Moore, who's pretty good. Not as versatile and cool as Curtis Samuel, but David Moore, very sneaky pickup. 2-year deal, $4.7 million and $1.25 million guaranteed. So in terms of fantasy, David Moore won't be on our radar at all, except in deep, if you're in a 16-team league or deeper or something. He's really not. They spread the ball too much. It's going to be a lot of running back, a lot of ball control. And one guy I actually really do like the Panthers got is tight end Dan Arnold, who on Sleeper, and I'm not sure, maybe I think other platforms too, dual position eligibility. He's tight end and wide receiver. He's more of a wide receiver. I looked up his weight off the top of my head. I think he's 6'5" or 6. I think he's 6'5" or 6'6" and weighs 220. So the man's got a skinny frame. He definitely looks more like a wide receiver, and he basically is. So not only is Dan Arnold my sleeper tight end, but on top of that, you're kind of getting a wide receiver who can play tight end. That's a lot better. Like, you can see more targets there, more routes run. I think they got him for a reason. They didn't pay too much for him, but I think they got him and they'll use him. 2-year, $6 million deal. Ian Thomas was a huge disappointment as far as fantasy goes, as far as becoming a receiving tight end. So I think Dan Arnold is going to actually be used as a receiver. Love him as a sleeper. Really came on last year for the Cardinals. Moving on to the Saints, Jared Cook is out. Emmanuel Sanders is out. And of course, Drew Brees retires. So this one's all about the quarterback. I think second-year tight end Adam Troutman could be a nice sleeper. I'm okay with going for a tight end in year 2. It doesn't have to be year 3. Year 2, they could break out or be worth it. But just keep in mind, like, in general, younger players do have more hype. Just the way it is when older players should have less hype. Like, that's what I was talking about T.Y. Hilton. Like, he's been declining lately, T.Y. And maybe he's, like, completely undraftable this year. If not, maybe next year. So Taysom Hill signs a big contract, 4-year, $140 million. But it's pretty flexible. Also, they re-sign Jameis Winston. Now, here's the deal. I got this wrong before, but Ian Rappaport and also I'm sharing the same opinion. I think Jameis Winston is going to start. Now, the way this is set up is that either one could start. Could be Jameis, then get replaced with Taysom Hill, or vice versa. We don't know for sure. I'm saying about a 60% chance Jameis Winston's going to start. He's going to be the main quarterback. Taysom Hill is cool. He's talented. Don't think he's the guy they want as their franchise QB or to lead them to some playoff wins. The Buccaneers, they lost Fournette, but maybe they can convince him to sign for cheap and get him back. Tom Brady is just one of those guys who can lead his team and get the most out of players, like Leonard Fournette, playoff Lenny, or what do they call him, Lombardi Lenny. Like, he was amazing in the playoffs, like just absolutely amazing. Went from being a healthy scratch to being a playoff hero. They also get Chris Godwin back. They franchise tagged him. Rob Gronkowski's back. The whole gang's back. Shaq Barrett, Levante David on defense. So I guess they just need Fournette and AB. League minimum, baby. Run it back. And then we got the Falcons. They suck. I guess they just get a downgrade. Julio Jones is older. Matt Ryan's older, and they lose Alex Mack. Moving on to the Cardinals. Drake is gone. Larry Fitzgerald, we don't know what's up. He's got to retire a Cardinal. I know that. Don't go to any other team, Fitz. Larry the Legend. They get wide receiver AJ Green to kind of replace Larry Fitzgerald in a way. And they get a player that I'm very happy about, Matt Prater, 2-year, $7 million. Now, these type of teams that run a high tempo, high octane, very potent offense, I love the kicker. That means more attempts. I like Matt Prater. He's easily going to be a top 10 kicker for me, probably much higher. Could be like right outside my top 5. I don't know. I'm not doing rankings right now. I'm just trying to quantify how much I like that move. I can't find a reason not to get hyped over the Rams. I've made it clear that I've hated on Sean McVay, and I think he's proven me wrong last year. The Rams get Matthew Stafford. This is one of those situations where the trade really helps both teams. The Lions are a cursed, disgusting franchise that's been trashed for 100 years. They need to rebuild, and what better way than to get an extra first-round draft pick for Jared Goff? For Stafford, than you would have with any other team. So they get extra first-round picks, and they get rid of Stafford. They don't let him wither and die in Detroit. So they're getting Stafford. They get Deshaun Jackson. And their defense does take a slight downgrade, but not by much. Like, those guys could be replaceable. They could still be just fine. Like, I'd be comfortable drafting the Rams D again, maybe. Only reason I wouldn't draft the Rams D probably would be because this is probably the best division in football. Cardinals, Rams, Niners, Seahawks. It's pretty dang disgusting, the NFC West. It's so competitive. So that would actually be my main reason to stay away from the Rams D. Not that they lost a couple players, but because they're going to be playing these teams a total of 6 times, right? These 3 other teams 6 times. That's not good. Anyway, look. Matthew Stafford, he's got Van Jefferson, he's got Deshaun Jackson. I think they're going to use Deshaun Jackson sparingly, so he might be, let's say, 45% of the snaps or something. I just think that's the smart move with his recent injury history. He's been pretty banged up the last couple years, so I don't know why you need to rush him out there. They will probably run a lot of 3 wide receiver sets. We'll see. But he's got Cooper Kupp, he's got Robert Woods, he's got Deshaun Jackson, Van Jefferson, still got Tyler Higbee, Gerald Everett is out. He went to the Seahawks. But still, I love Matthew Stafford. Now, the only reason that I wouldn't draft Matthew Stafford high is if I'm in a 1 QB league, which, standard league, which 95% of people are. I get that. And I don't really need to reach for a quarterback in those type of leagues. And he doesn't have much rushing stats. So he doesn't get those rushing stats, no rushing cheat code. And I could I could just get a quarterback off waivers in those type of leagues. That doesn't mean that I don't think he's going to ball out. I still think he's going to be really good. Just maybe we can get him for a discount because he didn't pan out last year. I know a lot of fantasy snobs kept praising how Stafford did really good in 2019 during the 5-game blah, 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 blah. So there was hype with those fantasy snobs who just love fantasy, and they were wrong about Stafford. Still, he's a good quarterback. If he stays healthy with this offense, he should be really good. We can expect something like what Tom Brady did as far as stats goes, as far as fantasy points goes. Tom Brady did fairly well in 2020. I think Stafford can put up Brady numbers in Sean McVay's offense. My Niners, man. Oh, my God. They are crushing it. We just need a quarterback, right? No, I honestly think Jimmy Garoppolo's okay. I think he's average. He did play hurt last year. I think he can get the job done. And I know a lot of people will disagree with me there. But I think he's good enough. I would love to get an upgrade at the quarterback position. But the rest of the team is absolutely balling. Jason Verrett, he stays, right? DJ, he stays. Trent Williams, he signed a crazy big contract, but he stays. He's going to be playing left tackle. Kyle Juszczyk, the Juice, fullback who can do it all, he stays. What's cool about this offense is that all these skill players can play any position, right? Kittle, Juice, Debo, Ayuk. These guys can all play running back, can line up anywhere, can catch the ball, can block. Like, it's crazy. Can run trick plays. Like, it's just crazy how when you just throw those guys out on the field, defenses have to be on their toes. They got to know, oh my God, it could be a pass play. It could be a fake. They could use this guy. They could motion. Like, anybody could do anything at any time. They can all stiff arm. They can run me over. They can run past me. Like, so that's what makes this team so good. I do think they should get a deep threat, like a Will Fuller would have been cool maybe. But you know what? I'm not as smart as Kyle Shanahan. Let me break it. Breaking news, okay? He knows what he's doing. He's way better than me at this. And those are just facts. And so I'm going to trust what he's doing. But bringing back those guys gives me a lot of confidence in my 49ers. And then, boom, Alex Mack. Back with Shanahan yet again. They signed the center for 1 year, $5.5 million. Oh, boy. Let me tell you, when I talk to NFL players, the word is not just from the players I talk to, but the players they talk to, that they really like Shanahan. A lot of players want to play for Shanahan. If I was an NFL player, I would want to play for Shanahan. It's fun. You can possibly win a Super Bowl. It's an amazing offense. Everyone's helping each. The energy is just so high and so positive there. Let's move on to a place where the energy was not so positive and not fun to play with the second half of the season. The Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson, I'd say, is no longer in danger of leaving. Well, not like it was before. Like, it seemed like they were like really close to trading him. And them saying no to the Bears for, I don't remember off the top of my head exactly what it was. I think 3 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and a player, something like that. For Russell Wilson, you say no to that? That kind of means, like, he's staying. And I think he wants to stay now. Now he has more input on the team. They're switching their offense. I think they got the Rams passing coordinator, pass game coordinator, something like that. Pass game, whatever. They're changing up their offense. They're making it less predictable. Wilson should be happier. They get Chris Carson back, because I was asking, who's the Seahawks running back? Boom. They got Chris Carson back. It's going to be him. They also get Gerald Everett, who I do see being used in the offense for sure. 1 year deal, $7 million with $6 million guaranteed. I'm guaranteeing he's going to be used in the offense heavily. He's a big, athletic tight end. And I'm pretty sure they got him for a reason, man. I really do see them using him. Anyway, guys, I do have an NFT that I put up. I try to get the NFT game. I think this is the first fantasy football NFT. So there it is. You guys can see it. Yeah, I don't think it's going to sell or anything. But I do think it's a cool piece. It commemorates our throne victory win. And I'm holding up our lineup. We traded for Lamar Jackson. And as you guys remember, last year, towards the end of the year, he had a sweet schedule, and he balled out, and we got the W, and we won the Throne League. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. We also have a second YouTube channel, Fantasy Couch Podcast. Subscribe to that as well. We're going to be doing some mock drafts, some live streams really soon, also covering the NFL draft. So stay tuned. Peace out.